AI is everywhere these days, and we have already used it in a previous episode, but today we are leveling up once again in our hyperautomation solution because we are going to create an AI-driven chatbot in Copilot Studio. Hey everyone, my name is Jochen. I am a Power Platform consultant at Cegeka, and the day has come where we are going to add a chatbot into our hyperautomation support ticket project. If you want to catch up on everything we did in the previous 3 episodes, I highly recommend you check out the link that I will leave down in the video description. Next to that, you will also find the link to the Cegeka website for more info on what hyperautomation is. If you don't care for any of that, you should also be able to follow along just fine, since I will show you the things that you will need in a minute. The development that we are going to do in today's video will be very much scalable to your own projects, so buckle up. Let's dive straight in by having a look at the use case that we're going to tackle. We are going to develop a chatbot, or I should say Copilot agent. Now we are going to build this agent from scratch, and the end goal here is to support our users on questions and inquiries they might have. And it will be a double whammy because first we are going to make our chatbot smart by providing it with a PDF knowledge base. That will include some protocols that our support ticket company employees, if you will, have to follow. Users will literally be able to ask questions on those protocols, and the chatbot should provide them with pretty accurate answers based on the information it can find in those PDFs. But we are not going to stop there. We will also link the agent to an actual database table. In our case, a ticket table on Dataverse that we already made in one of the previous episodes. You can of course pick your own data source. I will get back to that in a minute. Overall, I hope that you can see that I made this as generic as possible, so it should be fairly easy to afterwards implement all of this to whatever your real-life use case is. At the end of the video, we will create some functionality to allow our users to tell the chatbot that the information they got from it is wrong. But first, let's have a look at the preparation that you need to follow along with me today. And let's start with the licensing situation. In the very first video of the series, I have set up a demo playground with a couple of users that, for example, have a premium Power Apps license. If you want to do the same, there is a link in the video description that will tell you all the information you need to set this up yourself. If you are going to use your own user for this, also fine, but then make sure that you also have a valid Copilot Studio license as well, which is separate from the premium license that I just mentioned. I have to do that for my admin user as well, and the easiest way, in my opinion, is to just start a trial period on copilotstudio.microsoft.com. So log in with your user there and then just start the trial. With that being said, I am not going to dive into the whole licensing structure that Microsoft has set up for this, because as always, it can get quite complicated with what you want to do and which license you will need, but again, link in the video description. Next to our license, we of course also need some actual data to work with. In my case, I am obviously going to continue our awesome ticket system use case here. So I have my ticket table on Dataverse ready to go. There already are a couple of tickets in here, but in a minute off camera, I am going to use this beautiful Canvas app that we created in the previous episode, by the way, to just create some more extra records so that we at least have a proper amount of data for our chatbot to focus on. So if you want to use your own table on Dataverse, of course you can, but since it is Dataverse, you will need that premium license that I mentioned earlier. As an alternative, or if you simply don't have that premium license available to you, you can try to switch to a SharePoint database, but just know that I won't be tackling that scenario in this video. Finally, we also need a location to store those PDF documents that I mentioned, and I am going to use the Hyperautomation Heroes SharePoint site, also something we created way earlier in the series. And on here, I'm gonna say new document library, blank library, and I'm just gonna name this Copilot Agent Knowledge Base. Show and site navigation, yes please, create. And all I'm gonna do here is drop those 2 PDFs that I am going to use. And these are just 2 AI generated documents, so very generic protocol info on our ticket system and on the employee absence and leave policies. And again, you could use other locations for a similar knowledge base, but I am not going to do that today. So recap, make sure that you have a proper license in place, that you have a valid data table with some actual data in it, and that you have some PDFs uploaded somewhere, preferably on SharePoint, that we can use as our knowledge base. If you have all of that in place, we are ready for some Copilot Studio action. Before we dive in, a quick update on my data on Dataverse. I have created some more ticket records in here, and I've also assigned some of these to my admin user. Since that is the user I use to develop everything, it might come in handy if we want to ask our chatbot, for example, can you show me a list of the tickets that are assigned to me? You can also see that I have a ticket status going on here, a ticket description, a customer for each ticket, and of course the ticket number. This is kind of the data that I'm going to work with eventually when I want to test out my Copilot agent. So to start your development, you could just go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com and start from here by, for example, clicking the create or one of these pre-built agents. But I am going to start from my solution, since all we did in the previous episodes is also in that solution already. I'm going to start from there. So I'm going to go back to make.powerapps.com, and this is inside of my, if I go back one step, inside of my Ticket Hub solution. So if I click that, all that you see here is what we did in the previous episodes. And from here, I can also say new agent. And this will also take me to that very same website. I will get a couple of pop-ups, obviously. Let's go for next, done. And this is basically the starting screen that I want to get to. To avoid confusion, I am just going to close off this window, and the app I also don't need anymore. First of all, it is possible to have a multi-language bot. Just to keep things simple, I'm going to leave this at English US. Then I'm going to name my bot to Hyperautomation _ just a prefix I have used for everything else in my solution, so why stop now? Ticket support agent. You can change the icon if you want to, and let's just change that. Let's say change icon. And if you want this one as well, you can use the downloadable link in the video description. You can find all the files there for the entire series. There we go, beautiful, save. We can put in a description if we want. This agent will support users for our ticket system. Now you could use this instructions field to already massively guide the behavior of your agent, but I'm going to leave that blank for now. What I am going to do, however, is add my knowledge base right away. So click add knowledge here, and I'm going to go to SharePoint, browse files, then of course pick my Hyperautomation Heroes site. And this also happens to be the correct document library. This is probably, this is the default documents library that you have when you create a new site. This is the one that I want, and I'm just going to select both of these PDF files, modified 15 minutes ago by me. Perfect, confirm selection. We could change the name or the description. I'm going to leave this as it is and just click add. And with this starting point, all I'm going to do is click create. And this is now setting up our agent. It's already learning about that knowledge base that we have set. But as you will see in a minute, we are also able to add more knowledge to it now, because I can go to knowledge up top and then simply say add knowledge. And now I can also choose Dataverse here. So let's do that. And obviously I am going to look for my ticket table, which is in fact this one. Next, just a little preview of the data. Perfect. This knowledge source answers questions found in the following Dataverse tables. Yep. And what I can now do is try and make the chatbot smarter. Because for example, in my Dataverse table, I have the default field called status, but I also have the field ticket status that I created. And I want the chatbot to know that if a user says, hey, what's the status on my tickets, that they mean ticket status and not the default status. So what I can try and do is go to synonyms here, click edit. And then I want to find my ticket status. There we go, my ticket status field. I can add synonyms here and say status. Add. Done. And just to prove my point, there is also a status column by default in every Dataverse table. So that's the one that I really want to avoid because we're simply not using that. Okay, so ticket status now has the synonym status. Let's go back and let's also add a glossary, a little bit of slang. And just as an example, I am going to say edit and I'm going to add the DOC abbreviation and the description will be date of creation. Next. So for example, we could ask the chatbot, give me the DOC of my tickets. And hopefully that will work because we have added this glossary to it. Alrighty, let's go back and then say add. And you can now see that HA ticket, in my case at least, is added as an extra knowledge base. Now the status is not ready at this point. All I can do is try and refresh, and normally this should jump to ready. Do note that this Dataverse knowledge base option is still in preview. So sometimes you might get some unexpected results. Maybe we'll also see some if we test it. Fingers crossed. But for now, let's just go to settings and then to generative AI. Because another preview option that we could use and will use is generative preview. Set this option to enabled and you can just see what it does, right? Use generative AI to respond with the best combination of actions, topics, and knowledge. Also a link here if you want more information on that. I'm going to leave this one to high, which is a more precise moderation. Because I mean, we're talking about protocol info here, so I don't want AI to be too creative, to be honest. So let's leave this at high. This is also fine, and I'm just gonna say save. Changes saved. All right, let's exit the settings. Let's close this one. This is still set to unknown, so that might be not the best sign, but we'll see. I'm gonna refresh it again. Nope, still unknown. We'll see because we are now basically ready to already test this. But before we do, a quick disclaimer. The main purpose of this video and the entire series really is not to do a deep dive into the actual tool itself. By going over all the options and the details that you have and also taking into account all of the security best practices, that is not my goal. My goal is to inspire you and to show you how different components in the Power Platform can work together. That's why we're doing this big hyper-automation solution in this series, because that is exactly the thing that I want to show you, without making things too detailed or complex along the way. That being said, if you have any video ideas on Copilot Studio, for example, absolutely leave them down in the comment section. That way we can simply put it on our list for future videos. With that little disclaimer out of the way, let's test our chatbot. And that is very easy to do because we have a testing window on the right here. And this will say the default line of text, hello, I am, and then the bot name, a virtual assistant. Just so you are aware, I sometimes use AI to answer your questions, blah, blah, blah. Ask a question or describe what you need. Don't mind if I do. I am going to ask a very generic question on something that I know is in those PDFs. What should I do when I want to close a ticket? Go. You can see some things happening on the screen. It's kind of a live view, if you will, of what the chatbot is actually doing, because now it is searching in its knowledge sources and we are getting an answer. To close a ticket, follow these steps, and then a very detailed list of steps. And also a reference here, and if I click that, it actually takes me to the PDF. And let's just look for that closing ticket info just to verify if it's correct. Here we go. Close the ticket. Verify that the resolution was delivered and the customer is satisfied. Mark the ticket as resolved or closed in the system. Let's go back to our bot. Yep, we can see that exact same information in here as well. So the PDF knowledge base seems to work pretty fine. We can also test the other PDF that was on absence and sick leave. So for example, what procedure do I need to follow for a sick leave? Enter. It's going to do the same thing, of course, going through its knowledge sources. And once again, we get an answer. To request a sick leave, follow these steps. I'm going to click this one again. This should be the other PDF, which it actually is. And here is where we should find that information. So notify your manager as early as possible. And we can also see that right there in the chatbot. We could now try and do the same thing on our Dataverse knowledge base, but I'm first going to go back to knowledge. And this is exactly what I was hoping for. I can see that my Dataverse entry here is now also set to ready. So this should work. Maybe let's just reset our test agent by clicking this round arrow here. And I'm not going to spare the agent. I'm going to use that slang that we added. So can you give me the DOC of ticket 00005? Question mark, enter. So hopefully now the bot is smart enough to know that DOC means the created on date. The document for ticket 5 was created on February 18th at 11:44. Let's have a look in our database and check the created on ticket 5, February 18th, 12. That's because of the time difference or time zone or whatever, but I'll take it, 44. Now notice that he says the document for ticket 5. Not sure what that is about, but hey, it's still in preview, so this was to be expected. Now let's test that synonym that we put in, the status thing. So I'm gonna say, can you give me the status for ticket? Let's just go with the same one, 5. And I'm quickly gonna take a peek while he is thinking in my database. This should be status or ticket status completed. Let's go back. There we go. The current status of ticket 5 is active and it is marked as completed. So this is still that default status thing, kind of interfering, I guess. But hey, at least we have a correct value here. And now it is time to push it. Can you give me a list of all tickets that are not completed and are assigned to admin user Jochen? Please give me ticket number, customer, description, and HA ticket status. Super eager to see what this is going to give us, but here we go. And it gave me something, but it's not really what I was hoping for, because I know for a fact that, for example, not all of these are assigned to admin user Jochen. Maybe it doesn't know how to link the name of the user, admin user Jochen, to the email address, which is actually the value that is in the engineer assigned to. So let's just try and make it somewhat more specific. So, attempt number 2. Can you give me a list of all tickets that are not completed as a ticket status and have engineer assigned to set to admin user.jochen? So it's not the full email address, but still, please give me ticket number, customer description, and ticket status. Go. And I'm not saying this is perfect, but it is way closer to the truth at least. Because all 3 of these tickets are in fact set to my email in the engineer assigned to. So ticket 3, 4, and 7. They are all on ongoing, so not completed. For example, the ticket 6 here was not included in the list since this is also set to my user but is completed. The one weird thing that I still see is that ticket number 8 here is also on my user and it is estimated. So I would have hoped that he would also include that one in its answer. Even more so because it is saying all statuses are ongoing or estimated, while all 3 of these are ongoing. So absolutely this needs more tweaking. As I said before, it is also still in preview, which is kind of already an indication of, don't consider this to be a waterproof system. And it is AI driven after all, so as we all know, it will only get better. I think this is still already pretty impressive for a chatbot that took me, 15 minutes in total to actually set up. And we are going to tweak it some more right now. Let's go to the topics menu here, because what I want to change for starters is this opening text. And we can do that by going to the conversation start topic. So click that. And all that is really happening is that this message is shown whenever the conversation is actually started. And we can of course change this. So just click the message and we can basically delete all of this and say hello and then greet the actual user because we have that information as a variable. Click the little X here and then go to system and look for user and you can see user.displayName. If you just click that, it will put it into that text field here as well. Then we can say a comma, I am, and then another variable x, look for system, and then go bot.name, click, comma, a virtual assistant. Enter. I can provide information on, maybe let's add a little bullet point list here, ticket info, ticket protocol, and leave and absence protocol. Ask me what you want, and I will use AI to answer. There we go. Let's save our topic. And once this is properly saved, I can now reset my testing bot. And as soon as I do that, you can see that my new, if you will, greeting text already shows up here. Maybe let's add another enter here just to calm down my OCD, something like that. And then let's save again, save, and then again refresh. And for some reason, it doesn't see that enter as an actual new line character. Fine with me, no worries. And apart from editing existing topics, what we just literally did, we can also create our own topics. And of course, that is super handy to expand the functionality, if you will, of your Copilot agent. And let's create our own custom topic to give the user the opportunity to report some incorrect information. I mean, we all know that AI can sometimes kind of mess up, so it almost seems like a best practice or something to have at least a fallback plan implemented. And to do that, let's go back to topics up top, and then don't click an existing topic this time, but say add a topic and then create from description with Copilot. We're going to name our topic report incorrect information. And this field will allow us to use AI to create the actual topic for us. What I mean by that is we can just give it a human description and AI will at least make an attempt to create the actual topic. I want to create a topic to respond when the user says that Copilot has given them incorrect information. Right? That's our human logic. Let's see what AI or what Copilot makes of this. Create. This topic was created with AI. Before adding this topic to your agent, make sure that all the content is appropriate and accurate. So basically all that will happen is that our topic will be triggered. For example, if we literally type into the chat, this information is incorrect, that should trigger this topic, which you can kind of see and edit if you want to in this step. And all for now that will happen is that a message will pop up in the chat saying, I'm sorry to hear that you received incorrect information. Could you please provide more details about the issue so we can address it? Which is already quite nice, but luckily we have the option here that says edit with Copilot to give it further instructions. And what I'm going to do in this little field here is say, add a question to ask the user which information was incorrect. And then click update. And literally that is what now has been added to the topic. So after that message, it will say which information was incorrect. It will capture the user's entire response. So whatever we type in next will be captured in a variable, and that variable will be saved in incorrect information, which is literally a variable inside of our chatbot, which is good, right? So let's save our topic for now. There we go. Because of course, that variable then contains the actual incorrect information according to the user. And that is exactly what we could, for example, email to the admin user saying, hey, this user said that this and this was incorrect. And the way that we can add steps to our topic is, of course, by clicking this little plus sign. And do know that there are some pre-built templates available. For example, I could say add an action, then go to connector preview. And if I say email, or rather send email, I could try and use some of these. Now, in my testing experience so far at least, I have noticed that it's quite buggy, or at least the ones that I have tested. So we are just going to create a Power Automate from scratch, and then we're going to call that Power Automate from within our chatbot. So instead of saying connector preview, let's go back to basic actions and then click new Power Automate flow. Before you click it, make sure you have saved this topic. I'm going to click right here. This should open up a new browser window that takes you to make.powerautomate.com, and this is what you should see. And we can now develop our flow just like you would with any normal Power Automate scenario. First of all, we can add some input parameters. So let's click add an input of type text and say to address. This will be the email address where we want to send the email to. Then add an input text, and let's change this to subject. This will be the email's subject, obviously. Then another input text. We're going to say email body text. And finally, we're going to say text user name. So for text type inputs, I know there are other ways to do this. We could make this an email since it will be an email address. I just want to keep it as simple and straightforward as possible. And all we really want to do is send the actual email, right? So click the plus sign in here and then add an action. Send email. And let's go for V2, which normally I think will be the latest version. Click. It could be that for you a little loading overlay popped up here just to create your connection reference. That is perfectly fine, but this is the action that you then should see. So we want to send the email to add dynamic content. If I type in to address, so if you don't type anything in, for some reason it just shows you the email body text. I don't really know why. You can also click see more. The to address, of course, is the one that we need. Subject will be, of course, our subject. And for the body, we're just gonna say user. And then in double quotes, we're gonna add the username. Says that the following information is incorrect, colon. And then we're gonna add the email body text, because that will be that variable that the chatbot has, which was the actual thing that the user was claiming to be incorrect. So we're gonna say that and then enter, kind regards, the best chatbot in the entire world. I mean, sometimes it's okay to brag a little. There we go. And maybe we can add some more enters in here just to see that this actual text is in the middle. And then we can also make this bold. All right, with that being in place, let's just save. And I forgot to give it a name. So once this is done saving, I'm going to change the name on the top left here. There we go. Let's rename this to HA_Copilot incorrect information flow. And then just save it again. One last thing to do, and that is to actually implement this flow so it is triggered from within our chatbot. So let's go back to the chatbot and then say done. Normally this should auto refresh, but what you can do is if you just do the same thing again, so click outside of that pop-up window to close it, click the plus sign again, add an action, and you normally should see, there we go, your freshly created flow in here as well. And you can now just click it. And all that we now need to do is say which values we want to pass as input parameters. So for the to address, I am just going to copy paste my email address for that admin user. For the subject, I am going to say incorrect information Copilot agent. For the email body text, we are going to use that variable. So I can just select this little arrow here and then click incorrect information, which is the variable coming out of this question, right? The user's entire response. So just click it. There we go. And the user name, we can also use a variable that we have in any chatbot being, click the little arrow, system, and then again, look for user.displayName. Click. Let's save this topic. topic saved, and we could now basically just test it again in here. So let's click the refresh just to make sure. There we go. So I'm going to just ask a question. Can you tell me the ticket status for ticket, I don't know, 7? Question mark, enter. And even though it will probably / hopefully give me the correct answer, we are going to state that this is incorrect. There we go. The current status of ticket is ongoing. So we're going to say, that seems to be incorrect. This should now trigger that new topic that we have made. And it actually does. I am sorry to hear that you received incorrect information, blah, blah, blah. Which information was incorrect? The status should be completed. And if I now hit enter or click this one, this should of course trigger that Power Automate flow. So let's see what it does. And this is also something that I got when I was testing it. So I'm just going to try and connect here. And for some reason it says not connected, and I'm just going to say connect, and then it automatically should give me a green check mark here, submit. Okay, this should now be good to go. So let's go back and say retry. I don't know if this will work. We might need to start over, but we'll see. And of course, we could always go to, if you still have it open, to Power Automate to see if our flow was in fact triggered. Let's go to My Flows, and this is the one. So click the name. 43 seconds ago, it was in fact triggered and it says succeeded. So let me just go into that flow run, and the mail should have been sent. So final check, let's check our Outlook. If I go to my apps here and to Outlook for this admin user, I can now in fact see that I have an email saying incorrect information Copilot agent, which was the subject that I've actually put in. The user, admin user Jochen, that's the actual name of my user, says that the following information is incorrect. This status should be completed, which is exactly what I had typed in as my response. Kind regards, the best chatbot in the entire world. I'm not sure why this is still processing, by the way, but hey, we have now checked our Outlook and we've actually gotten the email. So from now on, we could try it again, but I'm going to skip that. Feel free to test this some more, but I know for a fact that it actually works. So that's how easy it is to set up a Copilot agent linked to a knowledge base with some PDFs, or even directly linked as we have done to Dataverse. We could obviously add way more functionality. Now, of course, you might wonder, okay, we have now built the chatbot, but how do we kind of publish or share this thing with other users? Also there are a lot of options, especially if you are working with the actual premium version of Copilot Studio. I am just going to show you a very simple example. If I go back to my chatbot while this is still processing, so let's just go to the overview. And first of all, I'm going to publish my bot by clicking this thing. Publish. There we go. Your agent was published. Your users will see the new content soon. So now my bot is actually ready to be shared. And one way to do that is to go to the channels menu. And I'm going to close my testing agent here. And then I'm just going to go to Microsoft Teams. As you can see in the background, there are a lot of platforms that you could share a Copilot agent on. We're going to keep it simple and go for Teams. At the bottom, turn on Teams. All right. Next up, let's go to the availability options here. And then to show to my teammates and shared users. And I could now here share it with whoever I want. Let's, for example, share it with Joe, who is one of our engineers. Is he not? Engineer.Joe. There we go. Engineer Joe. Click. I just want to make him a viewer so he can just use the bot. So this is okay. I can just go back. And you can do this for every user you want to share it with, or you can also use security groups and stuff like that. We could send an email with a link to the agent, but I will show you another way to do that same thing in a minute. And all I now want to do is click share. All permission changes were saved successfully. Alrighty, let's go back by clicking cancel. And I'm now going to publish it again. Publish. You probably don't always have to do it like this, but especially if you started sharing after you have published the first time, it might be wise to just publish it again once you are done with all your sharing settings. And so far, the easiest way, I think, to actually share a link to your agent is this. If you go back into channels and then in my case to Microsoft Teams, I can go into availability options again, and you literally have the copy link option here. If you copy this one, it is now in my clipboard, and if I go into another browser window and I paste it, and I'm just going to show you in the online version of Teams, so cancel and say use the web app instead. There we go. HA ticket support agent, add it successfully, and let's just say open. And I can literally now use my chatbot just like we have tested it before, but this is like the actual play mode, if you will. So I can now say, can you tell me what to do when I need to close a ticket? And you can see that it's thinking hard now. But in time, there we go, we should get basically the same information that we got before. And you can always see that little AI generated tag here just to get an idea of what was going on. And we had this little link still where I can click to go to the actual document. So everyone you have shared the agent with should be able to open it in the exact same way that I just did. And you can now see that I actually have that support agent here as an app, if you will, in my Teams. And again, there are other ways to do the exact same thing. I am just trying to give you the, let's say, most straightforward way, in my opinion, to do this. Now just know that Dataverse security is also involved, in my case at least, since my agent is connected directly to a Dataverse table. So also take all of that into account when you create chatbots like this and you want to share them with certain users. Probably they will also need certain permissions on the actual data to be able to use the chatbot. So an important disclaimer to mention here, guys, I didn't set up any of that proper security, since that would be an entire video on itself. So if you're setting any of this up in real life use cases, do your homework on security as well. And to get you started, there will be a link in the video description to some more info on that topic. And to close off the episode, if I now go back to make.powerapps.com to my solution, and I probably need to refresh, you can now see that not only did my agent pop up here since I started from the solution, so I now see my ticket support agent, but I also see some agent components here. So these are mainly the topics that we are using, and also I see a link to the knowledge-based PDFs here as well. And this was all done automatically just because I started from within my solution. And there we have it, a fully functional AI-driven Copilot agent to support our ticket system users. So by now we have used AI Builder, a lot of Power Automate, Power Apps in the previous episode, Copilot Studio. There's one more episode left though, and in that video we will cover a couple of the more unknown tools within the Power Platform ecosystem. I can already give you a couple of bingo card words: Robotic Process Automation, or RPA, Power Automate Desktop, and Process Mining. Those will be the topics for that last episode in the series, but for now, give yourselves a massive round of applause because we have covered a lot of ground in this series so far, and I massively appreciate the fact that you guys are still here. So a big thank you to all of you for watching. I will see you in that last episode. For now, stay safe and take care.